Hey, good afternoon, friends. Bill here. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good week. We're having one at Sports Fan, that's for sure. I'm here in Toronto, Canada today, and leaving tomorrow morning for Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. With join up with you guys might know Adam Cutshaw and Larry Helmuth from Denver, a friend of Dennis Moore. His name is Stephen Kendall, and then my Rutherford is in. He lives in Swift Current, which is about 2 hours west of Regina. So he's going to be with us. And I think one of his friends is going to join us. So it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun to hang on a second. I'm trying to get this invitation that Michael sent to him. Should be a lot of fun this week. And I've been running around some in Toronto today. I've been here before a couple times. And it's always the impression in my mind, it's always been a good city and a good city for ministry. And I went back down today to film some stuff. I may show you some of those films if I can. And it's for whatever reason, Toronto has a fair amount of foot traffic. It's not a lot like London or even New York City. There's enough though. If you were to preach downtown Toronto, there's sufficient there is sufficient foot traffic for a full-time preacher. Let me send this to Michael. There's sufficient foot traffic for a full-time preacher, and that coupled with there it is. The stadiums, there's four. They have they have all three. They have all four American professional sports teams here. Baseball, the stadiums are downtown. Hockey, NBA, baseball, and they have a Canadian football team. So they have three of the four, and they have a Canadian football team and a Major League Soccer team as well. So it's pretty amazing. Toronto is a great city. You know, it seems to be easier to. Canada is a huge place. You unless you've tried to fly up here, it's a huge land. It's just a massive piece of property. And then when if you live in the East Coast, you start going west. Like it's a long way out there. So Toronto is close to the East Coast, close to me. It's just as close as Miami is, probably a little bit closer when you think of flight times. So in that sense, it's a good city. And after being there today, being there the last couple of times, I'm definitely going to start working to come back. We're a new charity here in Canada, and as many people have heard me say, that the reason that's important is, for me at least, the following. We when you apply to be a charity, well, if you get a nonprofit in the United States, you do this too, but it's been a long time for me in the United States. But when you apply for a charity, you have to tell them what you're going to do, and they approve what you're going to do. Now, they're not necessarily trying to scrutinize and look for gospel preachers. That's not what they're doing. That's not what they are trying to do is understand what you're going to money you're going to raise, what you're going to do with it, because ultimately the governments are interested in making sure you are doing what you say you're going to do and doing with the money what you said you would do, that you're going to spend it on the charity and not yourself or something else. In other words, they're legitimately trying to protect and fraud and these kind of matters. I think, as I've gotten more just older and experienced with these things, I'm not a money man, that's for sure. I don't think in terms of financial profit and loss, which is probably to my detriment. But so the more I see these things, the governments are interested in taxing and making sure that they're able to tax what they can tax and also protect people from fraud. So that's what the charity is. So anyway, Canada approved us as a charity. We had to tell them what we were going to do, preach at ball games and do what we do. And they said, yeah, come on. So now we're operating legally. We're not just a bunch of Americans rolling in on a passport, preaching in downtown Toronto. I've been in Vancouver and Calgary as well. We're actually a legitimate organized charity in Canada and UK as well. And so we can, as far as I'm concerned, we operate under their laws, and they've approved us to be there. So I personally find that to be a good thing. So here we are. I'm going to get this ready in case. There's Michael. Michael, you there? I do want to, hang on a second. I'm going to to try to get him on the screen here, I do want to show you this. I found this out doing this last week. Show you a couple videos I took downtown today. They'll pop up here. I must say that all right, here we go. I got some videos up. Let's see what we got here. Doing. This is so irritating. Gosh, I tell you what, man. I hate social media. I hate it. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I hate all this. They waste your time. They frustrate you. All right, man. Give me a minute. And we're definitely trying to get to a place where we're not having to mess around with these people. That's for sure. That is for sure. And let me show you this. This is a pretty good one right here. See if it'll pop up. I don't know what that means. Oh, here we go. Let's see what happens here. All right, give me a minute to see what's happening there. Hang on one second. Is that pretty cool? That was today. That's amazing. That was today. Can't figure it all out. What I do know is Michael, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2. All right, we're going to try to do something different here. I think let me try to. Hey, there you go. I hear you now. Hang on a second. Awesome. Can you hear me? Oh, there you are. Hey, cool. There you go. Okay. Michael. There you go. I hear you now. All right.
Okay.
How you doing? Can you see me? Awesome. Can you hear me? Okay? Can you hear me?
Hello? Does that work? I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
There you are. Yeah, that's perfect. Just stay right there. Don't lift it. Don't lift your pinky or anything. Don't move it. It won't work. There you go.
Okay. Good. How are you doing?
So
Yeah, I gotta use
tell
my
us.
phone and my laptop here. So.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Does that work? I can hear you.
You might have to turn off one of them. It's going to echo.
Good. How are you doing?
Turn off the
Yeah,
cell
I gotta
phone.
use my phone and my laptop here. So.
Turn off the cell phone. The laptop.
Does that work? I can hear you.
Might have to turn off one of them.
Good. How are you doing?
Turn off the cell
Yeah, I gotta use my phone and my laptop. Does this work now?
Perfect. We mastered it. We can be Bill Gates now. We got it all mastered. Okay.
Okay.
Don't lose your volume. I don't know. I can see you. I just can't hear you. Let's try this. Because I want to show the video.
Hear anything here?
I heard you then. Can you hear me? Michael? All right, let's watch this. Hey friends, Bill here. We're Sportsman. Isn't that awesome? I love that. That was a great spot.
I
Great
got
spot.
you. Bill,
Time.
can you hear
Michael,
me?
you there?
Yep.
All right. You hear me?
Yeah.
Praise God. Victory. Okay, cool. Well, how was Swift current today?
Oh, it's pretty good. We're looking at, I don't know, it's probably -10 right now, so the weather's supposed to warm up by the weekend.
That's exciting. Well, I was in downtown Toronto today. It was snowing. Seriously.
Yeah.
Got soaked up. Wet snow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then I drove out to Burlington. I'm out here in Burlington right this second, which is 40 minutes away, and it was the sky was clear. Does it happen that way in Canada a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Changes every 15 minutes some days.
Cool. Well, tell us in a synopsis sort of what you're in Saskatchewan, kind of the middle of Canada. Just describe it to people who have not been to Canada. What makes Saskatchewan what it is?
So I'm in the middle of prairies here, so it's just pretty much flat-landed fields for the most part, and then the weather's the big thing here. We range, for you guys down there, it'd be -40 to 110 degrees and anywhere in between throughout the year. So,
What do you like? What is the main? What are the economics of Saskatchewan? Just farming?
yeah, so where I am, it's mainly farming and oil and gas.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, the world revolves around those two mainly around here. So,
All right. So Regina is the capital. I think I saw it's about 100,000, 200,000 in size. Is that right?
yeah, I think it's 2.25, maybe 250,
Okay.
roughly.
You're west Swift Current, a couple of hours away. What is how big is Swift Current?
It's about 18,000 people.
18,000.
Yeah.
Now Saskatoon, what is that?
I think that one's closer to 300,000.
300.
And
So
that's
that's bigger.
and that's about 3 hours north of me,
I got you.
northeast. Yeah.
So like in Swift Current, I mean, you've got, of course, it's big enough to have law firms and accounting firms.
Yes.
And, is it like a special city or just a typical small Canadian town?
So it's not. We're right off the Trans-Canada Highway, so the highway that runs clear across the country. So we have a lot of things that most towns our size wouldn't have, but
Right.
yeah, like most places like wouldn't have a Walmart or stuff like that. But since our location, there's probably, they say about 100,000 people use the city once a week. So we do have a lot of people from anywhere 2 hours away do all their business in town here. So it's a lot busier than a town of 20,000 would be.
Okay, cool. Now Saskatoon, what makes it 300,000?
It's just one of the main centers in town. So a lot more people go there. So it's kind of connects the northern part of the province. A lot of people deal with that city. So there's a lot of like Indian reserves that are north of the city. So a lot of them come into the city there to do their business. And then in Regina, they don't really have many U.S. flights that go in there. So a lot of the U.S. travel goes directly to Saskatoon.
Yeah. I noticed that. Interesting. So now I was going to ask you, what do you do? I mean, I know just for everybody listening, what's your work at Fountain Tire?
So currently I sell tires. I'm actually in the middle of switching jobs in a couple weeks. So I just work at a tire shop and I sell tires and arrange appointments and stuff. I am moving into a job for Kenworth Company, so I'll be selling semi parts. So
semi what?
Parts for semi tractors.
Okay.
So,
all right, cool. Now, before we move on to religion and stuff, faith and this and that. So, in the scheme of Canada, and what I've noticed is so I've been here 3 or 4 times. I've been to Toronto twice, Vancouver, Calgary. So, people like me, we're dangerous. We think we have some understanding of another country. But when you read, just glance through things, it looks like, where the devil lives is in Toronto, and everywhere else in the country is conservative. and just regular folks. Is that true? Is that the way it breaks down?
Yeah, so the urban centers are quite liberal, and then in the in the rural areas, yeah, it's very conservative politically. Where I am in Saskatchewan, it is very more or less like 80% conservative, more or less. So even with our provincial government, it's, I think, what they call the Conservative Party here, it's, I believe they have like 88% of the votes is generally what they get here. So it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's, yeah, it sticks very conservative at its roots. So, but.
Cool. Do all Canadians know that, or is it just, in other words, does it just happen that way, or people move out to the provinces to be around other conservatives, or how does it happen that way?
I think it's just the core beliefs over the years, and then the non-conservative parties have kind of ruined things here. So a lot of people are that way, and just I think it's typically just the farming communities kind of lean that way, is my interpretation of it over the years. So,
okay. I know with Toronto, I was telling some guys on the way back from downtown. I know that Toronto, what I've heard is they are an international city.
Yeah.
And like I was down there, I was filming around a Scotiabank Arena, and I went to get a cup of coffee. I mean, the whole place was run by, Arabs, and they were really friendly, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they were very friendly. And what I found is that when you get people together from that when you have an international city and they come together for business, that's why they're in Toronto. They didn't come for religious purposes, basically. That everybody, it kind of takes the edge off, basically. And so what's intriguing is while Toronto is really liberal, I mean, money liberalizes things. I understand kind of that dynamic. The people there, that's a relatively friendly place. What's your perspective on Toronto? Is that an accurate perspective, or is that a?
Yeah, so most of the major cities in Canada are very multicultural. There's a lot of people from the Arab nations. There's a lot of people from the Asian nations as well. So I spend a lot of time in Winnipeg and even in Regina. Yeah, it's a good split throughout. Because to give a little background, Canada is very, they want to work with people to keep their culture alive and stuff. They are becoming Canadians, but a large part of who they are is their culture, and that showing in the cities and stuff. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Regretfully, it rolls down into some of these political policies. But the whole idea is a good idea. Of course, now if you're a Christian and you want to evangelize, and it doesn't mean that all conservatives are saved. None of us believe that. But coming into the big city, it does create a pretty good environment. It's kind of like going to London. I mean, that's what they've done over the years. Is I heard this lady that for the reason these things are interesting to me is because human nature, how sin works, how does it really work itself out, and it's kind of what I've paid attention to a lot over the years. Anyway, so like in London, Dorothy Boyette, who's British and she evangelizes with us, explained that in the early 70s, the Commonwealth or the Empire said, "Hey, we want anybody from the Commonwealth to come in here to work," and it had not been that way before. And so what you notice in London is you have 300 languages spoken now, a multitude of people. And as an evangelist, it's a great city. So Toronto's the same kind of thing. It's like, hey, this is ideal. And so what's your thought? Or do you just hate Toronto because it's so liberal and it skews the politics? What's your view?
No, I don't have anything against the city itself. I just think it's not the capital city of the country. It's kind of the area where everyone goes towards because it's our biggest city by far.
Right.
And Toronto is just, I find it very different than anywhere else in the country because there's a running joke in the country that says they're trying to be New York. And so,
sure.
Yeah. And then I think it's just everyone, when people immigrate here and then they come to Canada, they want to go see Toronto. So a lot of people do end up landing there. And it is a very accepting city from a worldly standpoint.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's really that's fascinating. You know, I was going to drive up to next time we're willing up to. I'd like to go to Ontario, where the capital is.
Yeah.
I mean, what's it like up there?
The city, I don't even know how big it is. It's not a huge city by any stretch. I think it might have 1 million people or so, and it is, when you go there, I've never been to Washington, but I assume it's the same thing, where it's a very political city and everything kind of revolves around the working of the country. So that's another beautiful town, and it's right on the Quebec border, so there's a lot of French people there as well as the English speaking there, but it's not as ethnically diverse.
Oh, really?
As other cities are.
Interesting. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, I'm excited to be here. Look forward to this weekend. So tell us a little bit about just the Christian, just a broad brush on Christianity in Canada, and then we're just going to land it all down in Regina here in a minute. But just broad brush the situation up here in Canada.
So, religiously, for the most part, the country is very culturally Christian, which I will say. There is a large, especially out here in the West, there's a large Mennonite portion, because way back when a lot of people emigrated from Russia and from Ukraine when there was turmoil there, so they came here. So a lot of people, I'd say probably 3/4 of the population here who's lived here for quite some time has been raised in the church. However, I would see it as very few people who are dedicated Christians and truly understand the faith.
Right.
And so, they're not, I find many people aren't opposed to Christianity. It's just opposed to certain Christians' view on Christianity. So that's a good way to frame that.
Well, they didn't like George Whitefield either when he's talking about be born again, right? Justification by faith. Everybody gets a little squirrely when you start pushing that.
Yes.
So, that's for sure. That's pretty cool. So now, I think I was talking to Bobby last week. Now, you've been to G3, hadn't you?
Yes, I actually, I was there 2020. I actually went to his church and had lunch at his house after we went to church. So, I know Bobby.
All right, there you go. Okay, cool.
Yeah, now, he's the one who kind of put me on to sports fans, actually. He's the reason I know about.
That's what I was telling him. And so, that's what because I remember talking to you. I was in Indianapolis when we talked on the phone the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But now, did somebody else from Canada go with you to G3?
Yes, there's another guy from my town here. His name's Jesse Schellenberg. So, we went to G3. There was 4 of us. Both me and him and our wives went.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, it was great. That was my first time being in the southern states, and I loved it there. It's too hot for me in winter, but
too hot, brother. That's funny.
So it was great to be down there and be in Atlanta. It's a beautiful city there.
Yeah, that's good. The South's God's country. We have 4 seasons in the South. It's just it's a perfect layout. Tennessee's really perfect where I live. Georgia's a little too hot. But Tennessee is just like the right combination of 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But what we could do is we could run like a 4 seasons tour. You could spend 3 months in Canada and 3 months in Miami. We'll figure this out and give everybody a good dose of. Anyway, well, that's so cool. So seriously, like in the Reformed Baptist world, G3 world, are they are they making some? Is there a G3 Reformed Baptist movement in Canada?
So especially where I am, the Reform movement, there are very few and far between. There might be 3 Reformed churches in Saskatchewan. I know of a few in Alberta, but it's the closest Reformed church to me is about 2 hours away that I am aware of.
Okay.
So they're very small congregations. They are out there, but they're very I've met very few, Reformed people in my travels around here. There are a handful of them, though.
Do you know the name Stephen Ewell, Dr. Stephen Ewell?
I've heard the name. I wouldn't know too much about him, though.
Yeah, he was well, Dr. Ewell, he's Canadian, but he was in Texas when we met. He's like a Puritan scholar.
Okay.
So he just spent, I think, 6 years up here in Toronto at Heritage Seminary. Do you know what Heritage Seminary is?
Okay. Yeah. No, yeah, I've heard of that.
And so, but now he went back to Texas. I don't know why he went back, but anyway. So Heritage Seminary, what is that? I mean, I looked it up online. Is that a good school, you think? Do you know much about it?
I don't know too much about it. I've only heard of it in passing there. I don't know too many Reformed schools in this province, to be honest. The Christian post-secondary education I find here is quite lacking.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's why we're coming, Lord willing. We can get something stirred up. So tell us about a little bit about Regina and what you expect to happen from Thursday to Sunday.
So like I said, it's a smaller city there. However, football fans in this country are crazy when it comes to their November football. So I'm not even sure what to expect. I'm expecting lots of people out there. With the Grey Cup Festival leading up to it, haven't had much experience with it in the past, dealing with the CFL football, but I know the Grey Cup, it sells out every year, and we can expect 30 to 40,000 fans to be in the stadium anyways. And I'm sure people will be in the area even on Sunday there. So they're around there for the festivities.
Cool. Yeah, I checked it out. I think every hotel room in the city sold out for not just Sunday, but for the week.
Yeah.
I mean, there should be a lot is an undefined number. A lot of people out and about, though. I mean, in other words, it's going to be as good as it gets. As good as the Great Cup gets, it's going to be good there in Regina. Plus, it's the capital, and so I'm looking forward to being there. I think we're getting a weather break. It looked like getting up in the 20 high teens.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, cool. Anything else you want to share?
No, that's about it. And
all right.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you talk to Cliff?
I did. He's in Swift Current for the most part. So he said if we're able to make it out here, he'd gladly do lunch with us, but we'll have to look at our schedule and see, maybe make a quick shot up, leave early in the morning or something. And
long way. That's a long
way.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Michael. Well, listen, I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing. The flight takes off and all that. Do I need to send you my flight itinerary? Did I send that to you?
I think, you're coming in at about 12:50 or so local time. So.
Okay. Well, I'll just meet your baggage claim. Is that cool?
Yeah. Sounds good. We'll see you there.
All right. Have a good day. Thanks for coming on.
Welcome. Right. Bye.
What a great treat. That should be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to coming up here. And it's off to a good start today. Looking around this area, I'm going to see if I showed you 2 videos. Let me see if there's one more to pop in there as well. Hang on 1 second. I wanted to show you the downtown at the Scotiabank Arena. Let's see. I think this might be good right here. Let's see what we got. Friends, Bill here with Sportsman Outreach Canada down at the Scotiabank Arena where the Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors play. You can see here, like I talked earlier, you've got big wide sidewalks in terms of preaching on both sides of the street. You've been here before, even this side, so fans coming this way, coming down that street, coming from the street over there, come this way. Rolling in here, this looks like gate 6. Gate. One around the corner. It's a great spot for gospel preaching. You see this big open area. This place is set in the middle of the city. It's a great opportunity, great place for gospel preaching. Up the other end is the baseball arena down there. It's like it's snow on top right down there. You've got a great sports complex down here in downtown Toronto. Great place for gospel preaching. If you want to come down and preach at these games, NHL season started, NBA season started, give me a call 905-315-6832. 905-315-6832. Excuse me. One more. Let's see if I can find it here. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, let's do this. Two more. Let me see what we got here. Two more. Downtown at Scotiabank. Now I'm on the other side of the, where I was outside. You can see all the snow out there where I was a minute ago. So here's the inside of the arena, the station. We're going to walk outside this door in front of us. You can see this place has there's another gate, Scotiabank Arena, right there. All right, lad, one more. Let's see, two more. Two more videos here. Let's see what we can have a feel for Canada before we start rolling out to Regina. Side of this place. I might turn it off when I walk through. All right, so one more to show you the outside. A place it says it's processing. It's about done, so you can see the from another corner in downtown Toronto. I think it's a great spot. Lots of good spots here. Preach from stadiums and downtown. It's a good place, and there's also we were here for the we came for the Pan Am games in the summer and the NBA All Star in the winter. Man, that was unbelievably cold in the NBA All Star weekend. But we preached down at the train station. And so what can happen here, the train station is just up the hill from the, when we saw that terminal sign, Union Station is the name of the train station. So when I was walking, trying to get to the front of the Scotiabank Arena, hope I'm not losing you, we saw the Union Station. On the other side of Union Station is a great place to preach. So we were preaching up there during the Pan Am Games in the All-Star weekend. So what I'm trying to say here poorly is if you preach, you can begin to see these venues are close together. And when they're close together, and you're out there all the time consistently, then your presence, of course, and the message, the gospel is reinforced. So it's a good setup, very much a good setup. Let's see if that take. A couple more things here. Grey Cup this weekend, and then it's bowl season. Well, its first thing is December 3rd is NCAA College Football Championship Saturday, and there's 5 locations where there's going to be teams right now. There's 4 team leaders. Alex Burt's going to be in Atlanta for the SEC Championship. Joe Henson's going to be in Dallas at the AT&T Stadium for the Big 12. Rick Garland's going to be in Vegas for the Pac-12, and Brian Nine is going to be in Indianapolis for the Big 10. Charlotte, I don't know yet. I might go to Charlotte, I might not. I might try to find somebody, but that's where the ACC will be. So December 3rd is the next big just push, and then bowl season begins. Bowl season lasts about 3 weeks. I think it's about 35 or 40 games, and we're going to start pushing that out there to get you, see if you can preach at a bowl game near you last year. And they're going to do it again this year. There was guys at the Bahamas Bowl, and David Day preached at 2 bowls in Montgomery, and so we were covering all bowls. There was a young man from Louisiana went to a bowl in Shreveport. I preached at 2 or 3 bowls in Florida, and so man, we try to cover the bases there. So one thing we try to do in this work is, so if you take the Sports Fan 1000 idea, preaching to the college games, let's just focus on college right a second. Then everybody rolls into a bowl game, and then we're out there at the College Football Championship. Then we are trying to reach every college football fan that's going into a game with the gospel. If they go to multiple games, they're going to hear the gospel multiple times, even in bowls and even in the championship. So we're trying to cover the bases. Same with NFL. Now, the NFL is less complicated. It has a regular season, a postseason, a Super Bowl. Same idea. Preach at all the home games, preach at the playoffs, preach at the Super Bowl. And that's the big idea we're trying to get. Just be there every time these guys, decide to go to a game. We want to be there with the gospel. To me, this is not complicated. It's just really doing what we are called to do in a sense. All right. And then bowl season, college football championship time. And then we just move into the weekend events. Okay, let's see. Let me get this done. See what I can do.
Say, Bill Adams here with Sports Fan Outreach Canada.
So, friends, if you know anybody in Canada, give me a call there. Call that number so it'll ring here in Canada, and then we can work with them that way. And I think that's it. Super Bowl rolling on February 9 to 12. Hopefully, you have gotten a call. If you have not, no one's called you yet to invite you to come to the Super Bowl outreach, then give me a call or text me 423-724-7500, 423-724-7500. Let's, friends, keep preaching. The world needs us to bring them the light and life of the gospel. The world needs us to be out there. The world does not need us to find reasons to not go preach. The world needs us to find reasons to go preach. The love of Christ compels us, Paul says. We've got to go. Just a couple thoughts here. We'll be done. One is that, the election, this is somewhat of a political thing, but it's really an analytical statement, an amateur and analytical statement. Really showed us that the nation, half the nation has values that are completely contrary to what we might say would be Christian values. It's not just they don't believe, but the way they evaluate life and think about things is pretty unusually opposite of regular life. And I was thinking about it, and like I was telling Michael, I think about these things a lot. Nothing by cares, but because it helps me try to understand, humanly speaking, what am I looking at? And we all know men are dead in sin, and whatever a dead man says in sin, he's saying sinful things. But in each generation expresses, has particulars about how they express their unbelief. All right, so just trying to listen and learn. It's just part of the thrill, I guess, of being in this all the time. And so as I was thinking about what is going on out there in this nation that drives this large numbers of people to apparently be driven by, let's just say, the abortion issue. What is it? And I thought, you know what, man, I'm going to call it California values. California values. And California values is this: Hollywood pumping out their Hollywood movies and stuff, Silicon Valley pumping out all their stuff through the iPhone. Really, anything with a screen is coming out of California. Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and the political nature as well. I've been out there several times. I paid attention to what I've heard just over the years a little bit. And California is interesting. Los Angeles, San Diego, some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. But you have to pay a price to live there. And it's a huge city. Los Angeles, we learned that last year, is a huge city. It has pretty good, it's governed okay. It's not governed great. And you have to put up with a ton of traffic if you're going to live out there. So if you're going to live in Los Angeles and live the life out there, it's going to come at a cost. That's part of what is coming across here in the California values message, is that the government's not necessarily there to necessarily make life easier for you. You just kind of have to roll with what they do. And then politically speaking, the governor's out there saying, we'll do abortions even after they're born. So this is California values being pumped out, being infiltrated through the screen. I'm just going to call it the screen: TV, movie, and your phone. And the thing that happens to people when you start, soaking that in, and this is the thing that really is, when from a gospel perspective, you have people who, and when you don't believe, and you don't have any discernment, and so they'll come in and they'll start listening, they'll start watching. Let's just say that you're watching a movie watcher, and I've heard sportscasters this really define life or track, time life based on the movies they watched when they were growing up. It's pretty staggering what people do. I don't do that. I don't watch TV. I haven't watched it since I've really never watched TV in my life much. Gone a handful of movies. I'm just not. That's just not what I've been, wanting to do really. But these other people do. And so if you go in there, you start watching a bunch of movies, and before long, it's like California values people. They throw another millstone around your neck, and they'll throw another millstone around your neck. And before long, you're drowning. People are drowning in this stuff, and they think it's normal. We're at a place where people think it's normal to have 15 millstones around your neck, all Antichrist messages, and you struggling to survive, and that's normal. And that's what I'm talking about. This is a very unusual time when what is normal is so Antichrist and such a burden to the people who are declaring it normal. It's weird. So I'm telling you, California values is what we're watching be dumped upon the United States. And we've got to get out there and bring life. If you have any pity on anybody, any mercy, you know, not only, it's not that the California values and sin are separate. It is that California values are an expression of the names of the sins in our day, the sense of the cultural things that really bog people down, plus the sins of Scripture, the works of the flesh. Paul talks about in Galatians. I mean, they are under multiple curses out there. If you have any mercy about you, you know, you got to go preach the gospel. These college kids, they probably raised in houses where they were abused and abandoned and not taken care of. It's a mess. It's a complete mess. What's our response? To laugh and mock and close the door and say, God, close the door of the ark? Our job is to get off the ark and go and preach Christ and call them into the ark. And this is where we're at, man. That's the way I see it. We have no excuse not to go. Churches have no excuse not to go. We have got to stop paying attention, being self-absorbed and worried about us, and begin to incorporate in our church activities the Great Commission, local and foreign Great Commissions. And that's where we're at. And if we have any pity on anybody, we've got to go and take the gospel to them, meet them where they're at physically, not philosophically. Meet them physically where they're at. Knock on their doors. You know what a definition of a bad neighborhood is? It's where there's drugs and fatherlessness. That's how that happens. You know what the recipe to that? The gospel. Not more police necessarily. They remedy it a little bit. But it's Jesus Christ is the remedy. He's the answer. Where are we at, man? Where is the church and these things? We need to quit feeding. We need to go and preach to them, knocking on doors, praying with people, house to house kind of stuff. We've gotten away with a long time just going in the building and throwing stuff up on a TV screen and thinking we're accomplishing something. We need to go out and be with the people. Jesus was with the people. He preached, he evangelized, he discipled, and he baptized on the day of Pentecost. So John the Baptist said, he'll baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. And Jesus ultimately baptized them on the day of Pentecost and those who believe today. So his Great Commission is what he was doing. We need to do what he was doing. He did not say, go in the building and sit there till you die. And that's not the Christian life. It is being discipled and going out and evangelizing to call others in as well. All right, man. Listen, time to go. Time to get out there and preach. Call me if you can join us, 423-724-7500.